So if you're wondering why nobody else has heard of amino acids, using them to balance out your neurotransmitters, or why it seems like nobody's talking about this, is because it is a really, really new thing. The research for this happened in the late 90s, in the early 2000s, and is still continuing today. And Julia Ross was the first person that I'm aware of who kind of started to put these pieces together by digging into the research. She was trying to help people who were struggling with cravings and also with weird emotional stuff going on, which is the core of what I focus on with helping people. And Mark Hyman, Eric Braverman, Charles Grant, they were all looking at different angles for how to help people, and they all kind of stumbled into, in their own way, the research around amino acids and slowly began to bring the picture together. The problem is it was never brought together into one coherent whole, and even today it's still not in a coherent whole, partially because there's no money in it. The amino acids are really cheap. They're just a supplement you can get in almost any health food store, so they're not a pharmaceutical. What's driving the medical industry currently is pharmaceuticals. When the pharmaceutical people find out about it, they advertise, they educate the doctors about using their pharmaceutical, and so the doctors find out about it. Right now, many of the doctors' education comes from the pharmaceutical industry. That's by kind of the design of the system. So there isn't the desire or even access for many doctors because they don't go outside of the existing paradigm which they were trained in. They were trained in the paradigm of drugs, and they kind of stay in that paradigm. This is actually, amino acids are food. It's really what happens to the stuff you eat, and it gets broken down in your body by the bacteria. What it breaks down, it breaks things down into amino acids. So it's really nutrition. It's about diet, and most doctors don't necessarily think in those terms. And so the whole industry is still really, really new around this. And one of the side effects of that is dosing. Nobody has quite figured out what is the optimal dose for people yet. Nobody's done enough studies on it, or studies, cross-sectional longitudinal studies around it. Let me give you an example. L-Tyrosine is something that I use to balance out dopamine in my body, and I use 80 milligrams of it. If I take 20 milligrams more, I take 100 milligrams, all of a sudden I start to get sleepy. It's an overdose. It's too much. And for some people who are more sensitive, their system can't handle that, doesn't know what to do with it, or it just, you take in too much of it, and all of a sudden you have the opposite effect. So if I get over 80 milligrams, all of a sudden I'm no longer energized. I'm now tired and sleepy, and I just need to go to bed. The products, most products that are bottled, like I buy my tyrosine, it comes in 500 milligrams. By default, there's a large portion of the population who is going to automatically take in too much and go, oh, yeah, this stuff doesn't work for me. It makes me sleepy. It's actually a dosing issue. It's not the amino acids' fault. Look at this other thing. This is this blue label here is L-Tyrosine in an amino shake mix. It has all these different amino acids in there. In one serving, one scoop, they want you to put in water and mix it up with your smoothie or whatever. There's 1,165 milligrams of tyrosine. 1,000. And my dose is 80. So what would that do for Jaden? I'm going to bed. So everyone's still learning here. This is really, really new stuff. So if you want to go out there and you want to research further and you're going, it's just not out there. Well, welcome to my reality. That's why I put all this stuff together. If you want to go deeper, Julia Ross, Mark Hyman, Eric Braverman, Charles Grant are the people who seem to have the biggest picture and the biggest putting them all together. They don't put all the pieces together that I've put together, but they've put a lot of pieces together. So if you're wondering why you haven't heard of this, Now you know. So I recommend that you start telling everybody about this, because it's really easy to solve. You just go to your health food store, you figure out which amino acid you need, buy that, find out your dose, take it, and all of a sudden a lot of weirdness just gone. Let's do this.